Posted as required by the Texas Open Meetings Act. We do have a quorum tonight, and the first item is, let's take a moment of silence if we could, please. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Strubhart, would you do the honor of the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, please?
Thank you, Mr. President, board members, Dr. Cavazos, administration, and audience. Tonight's pledge will be led by Ramses Madiz. Ramses is an AB honor roll student at Treasure Hills Elementary who currently serves as the president of both the Student Council and Treasure Hills Recycling Club, aka the Green Pirates. He is also a member of the Crewmates, Treasure Hills Community Service Organization, Orp Ensemble, All City Choir, and the Thai Club, an organization created to build young men into leaders. Out of school, Ramses is involved in Little League Baseball. Most recently, Ramses celebrated his admission into the STEM Squared Preparatory Academy, where he will let's give him a round of applause. Congratulations, Ramses. Where he will begin classes in the fall. When Ramses grows up, he wants to be a CIA agent. Ooh. He is joined tonight by his parents, Richard Madiz and Sabrina Rodriguez. Ladies and gentlemen, Ramses Madiz.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ramses. Would your parents please stand up and be recognized?
Parents?
There you go. Thank you. Ramses, the tie club. Did you tie your own tie tonight? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, it looks pretty good, I'll tell you. All right. Congratulations.
Did you tie Mr. Ingram's tie?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I don't know how you do all the things you do and keep those top grades, so that's a real credit to you. Keep up the good work.
I'm proud of you.
The next item on our agenda is the recognition of all state musicians. Ronnie Rios.
Good evening, Mr. President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Cavazos, senior team, ladies and gentlemen. Texas All-State is the highest possible honor a Texas music student can receive. Students are selected through a rigorous process that begins with over 70,000 students from all across Texas, vying for the honor to perform in one of the 15 All-State ensembles, bands, orchestras, choirs, etc. Individual musicians perform selected music for a panel of judges who rank each instrument or voice part. From this ranking, a select group of students advances from their region level to compete against musicians from others in 8 TMEA area competitions. Then the highest ranking students at the TMEA area competitions are selected as TMEA All-State musicians. That's what we have here tonight. So these All-State students participate in 3 days of rehearsals directed by nationally recognized conductors during the annual TMEA Clinic Convention in San Antonio. Starts tomorrow. Very exciting. Their performances before thousands of attendees bring this extraordinary event to a close. So we are very honored tonight to present these wonderful All-State students, starting off with the Harlingen South High School Hawk Band. We have a very special student. Usually All-State students are reserved for maybe juniors and seniors, an occasional sophomore. This is a freshman, ladies and gentlemen, All-State musician, the very first freshman in the history of South High School. This is Daniel Hernandez, trombone, third chair. And if we could have his family stand up and be recognized, the Hernandez family. Congratulations, family. And teachers of Daniel Hernandez from Harlingen South, Hawk Band, would you please stand? Congratulations again, Daniel. From Harlingen High School Choir, we have another freshman. Again, this is a this is an incredible honor for a freshman to make All-State. So now they have a chance to make it 4 times, which is less than 0.001% of all students in the state. This is Cadence Carpio, Alto 1, first chair. And can we have Cadence family please stand and be recognized? We'll get the teachers at the end. And then we have first time All-State Junior, Sofia Lopez, Soprano 2, 4th chair. Sophia's family, would you please stand up and be recognized? There they are. Junior All-State Choir member, Anthony Villarreal, tenor 1, 5th chair. And can we have Anthony's family please stand up at this time? Are you here tonight? There you go. Congratulations. Junior All-State member, Gabriela Celine Garza, Alto 1, 3rd chair. And can we have Gabby's family please stand up and be recognized? And last but not least, we have a 2-year in a row All-State student. She is now a senior at Harlingen High School Choir, Hannah Rosenbaugh, Alto 2, 1st chair. Hannah's family, would you please stand and be recognized? There she is. And can we get the directors of the Harlingen High School Choir, the teachers of these students, would you please stand and be recognized? We can ask Board of Trustees for a photo, and teachers, would you come up for a quick photo? Do we have time for that?
Big bill for the parent.
They're so talented.
So disappointed.
Good luck to y'all. Congratulations, and Ronnie and staff, what a great job. What a great job.
guys.
And to the parents, thank you for your support. These are amazing and very talented students, and we're really proud of them. And I know that they're also very successful in the classrooms, and they're great students. And this type of success is going to spill over into so many different areas in their life and going to lead to great things. And we're so proud of the holistic development of our students here in our school district. And we know that this is going to create the soft skills, you know, the creativity, collaboration, communication, critical thinking that's necessary for success in life. And it all starts with the right brain and things like this talent, the musicians that we have here. Just so proud of y'all, and we can't wait to hear of your success at state. So thank you.
And the leaders.
Okay, next on the agenda is the recognition of the PTASA Students of the Month for February 2019. Brianna Vela Garcia.
Well, good evening, Mr. President, board members, Dr. Cavazos, administration, and audience. Tonight I'll be recognizing our February Harlingen City Council PTSA Students of the Month, representing Harlingen High School South, Early College High School, and Harlingen School of Health Profession. I'm going to show you all a video to get a little glimpse about these students, and it was, again, produced by our Media Arts and Communications Academy students.
My name is Kimberly Kimack, and I'm a senior at Harlingen High School. I'm currently the senior class president, the National Honor Society vice president, and have been a 3-year returning varsity cheerleader. My dream is to become a successful dermatologist and just live my life to its absolute fullest. Starting in the fall of 2019, I will be attending the University of Texas at Austin, where I will major in biology.
My name is Blake Martin. I'm a senior and I go to Harlingen High School. I'm involved in PTSA and HS, and besides that, I don't do any extracurricular activities besides weightlifting and running. I want to study medicine and become an orthopedic surgeon. I really like helping athletes out and getting them back on their feet after an injury. Next year, I plan to attend Baylor University in Waco, and I want to study medicine.
My name is Mia Sanchez, and I am a senior at Harlingen High School South. I am involved in NHS and THS. I am involved in Leo Club, and I am the historian there. Last year I was also the president for Ecology Club, and this year I am the secretary. And in marching band, I was the drum major for the Harlingen High School South Mighty Hawk Band, and right now in concert season I am first chair. I am most passionate about helping people and getting them on the path to success, and a lot of the times people, they need a helping hand, and I'm most passionate about helping them and being there for them. I plan on going to Brigham Young University in Utah, Provo, Utah, and I plan on studying kinesiology to be a physical therapist.
I'm Lillian Villarreal. I go to Harlingen High School South, and I'm a senior. I am involved in the varsity Lady Hawks soccer. I am in NTHS, NHS, and PTSA, and within PTSA, I uphold the student volunteer coordinator position. I'm really passionate about helping people. I do anything I can to put a smile on someone's face and lend a helping hand. I am deciding between Our Lady of the Lake University in San Antonio or Texas Christian University in Dallas. I am going to be on the pre-nursing track with a degree in kinesiology.
My name is Arlet Bravo. I am a senior at HCISD. I am currently the Student Council President, Student Advisory Board Secretary, Drama Club Historian, Owls for Christ member, and Senior Mentor. I am inspired to become a nurse practitioner so I can help others. Next year, I plan to attend UTRGV and major in nursing.
My name is Emma Huff. I'm a senior at HCISD. I'm involved in National Honor Society and I'm the president. I'm the editor-in-chief of Yearbook. I'm the founder of Music Club, and I also participate in PTSA, and I used to participate in Student Council. My dream would be to travel all over the world, see different places, experience different cultures. I had the opportunity to do that this past summer, and that was excellent. I had a lot of fun, and I hope to do that again. So I'm currently between schools, not quite sure where I'm going to go, whoever gives me the most money. And my major, I would say, I'm looking into architecture and medicine, so I'm between those also.
My name is Daniela Ramos. I'm a senior and I attend the Harlingen School of Health Professions. So this year I decided to take on Student Council, Girl Scouts, host of Future Health Professionals, National Honor Society, and Class Council. For leadership positions, I'm the treasurer for Student Council and I'm the secretary for the Girl Scout Harlingen Service Unit. So my dream in terms of career aspirations is to become a clinical psychologist and to be able to help people through spreading awareness about mental illnesses. Next year, I plan to go to St. Edward's University in Austin, and I'm planning on majoring in psychology or political science.
My name's Alyssa Melgoza. I'm a 12th grader at Harlingen School of Health Profession. I am involved in the Class of 2019 Spanish Club, and I'm a team manager for the Harlingen High School varsity boys soccer team. My dream is to get my doctoral degree in physical therapy, and I hope to help people with getting better after surgeries. It's my main goal. I plan to attend Texas A&M Corpus Christi with a major in physical therapy or kinesiology.
I know there's some proud parents and grandparents in the audience tonight. Can you all please stand to be recognized? This video will be available on YouTube tomorrow if you'd like to watch it again. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Powers and Dr. Cavazos to come forward for a photo with our Students of the Month. From Harlingen High School, we have Kimberly Kimmick.
There you go.
Blake Martin. From Harlingen High School South, we have Mia Sanchez. And we have Lillian Virial, who could not be here with us tonight. From Early College High School, we have Arlette Bravo. We also have Emma Huff. From Harlingen School of Health Professions, we have Daniela Ramos. We also have Alyssa Malgoza. I'd like to invite the entire board to come forward for a photo, please.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
may I just say a few words to all of these young ladies? All these young ladies. I am so impressed with your vision for your future. You're thinking about your options, you're identifying what you really care about, and you're building your college career choices around that. I dare say I see a lot of determination, certainly a lot of intelligence, and a lot of beauty, both inside and out. Ladies, great job.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the, let's see, approval of the minutes. So I know everybody read them before they came tonight.
Mr. President,
So, go ahead, I'll entertain a motion, please.
move approval of the January 22nd, 2019 regular board meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Pettis, seconded by Dr. Muniz. Was it Dr. Muniz or? I'm sorry, Mr. Hymas, excuse me. Seconded by Mr. Hymas.
Bless you.
Bless you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. The next item is the principal's report. Mr. Roland Ingram with Treasure Hills Elementary.
Your CIA director.
That's
here.
right.
Make sure you tell the truth.
You're gonna be a reporter.
I have two housekeeping items first before I begin. One is, yes, CIA, future CIA agent. He was already asking me questions, Dr. Cavazos. His first question as he leaned over to me was, so how long does he get to be superintendent? And I said, well, that's complicated, Ramses. We'll talk later about that.
I'm sure he had a lot of questions.
And the second thing is, and I don't know if an SMU person snuck in and loaded one of our Student of the Month's brain full of nonsense, but Fort Worth is the home to TCU.
That's exactly right.
You know, just want to make that clear,
I
okay?
agree, I know.
As a horned frog, I have to represent.
We were talking about it.
We don't take it personally.
Excuse me,
though.
did I just miss that there's a timetable on your position?
Well, it's a future CIA
Oh,
agent.
okay.
You want to stand up, young man, so Mr. De Leon knows who you are? There he is, see? He was asking a question about board members. Just hold on, don't be angry.
Dr. Cavazos, you should introduce him to your buddy, Dr. Robert Gates. I think they have a lot in common.
They'll have a lot in common, that's right.
Well, Mr. President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Cavazos, administration, and audience, I am your presenter tonight, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about a program that was brought to the district, brought to the elementary schools last semester in the fall from Texas A&M University, and I'm just going to refer to it as FACET for the rest of the night because the entire name is just way too long and complicated. So the FACET program was brought to us, like I said, in the fall, and we're utilizing it, or we're beginning to utilize it at Treasure Hills. But I want to tell you how we got to that point first. The how we got there. About 3 or 4 months ago, and our curriculum department and our assistant soup for elementary education do an excellent job of just putting the very best programs in front of us in terms of what we might consider usable on our campuses, and they give us a wide variety. So they send us these invitations, and this one kind of caught my eye. So I brought my instructional coach with me, and we went and we sat down and went to the presentation. And I was impressed. I was impressed for a lot of different reasons. As a former English teacher, I saw definitely the value in the program. It's about reading comprehension, something all of our students struggle with for various reasons, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But as they worked through the process for us, I began to see how we might be able to utilize it at our campus. And so because we're so large, I didn't see all of my teachers getting trained in a sort of in a quick fashion. So I asked them to actually come to the campus and train 3 of my very best teachers who could then turn around and train it at need. So they spent a day on our campus modeling instruction for us, and we watched and had a really good day, took a lot of notes, circled up the wagons at the end of the day. And so at the end of that, we opted in, as did, for various other reasons, other campuses. To my knowledge, I think everybody is doing it in some form or fashion at this point. So that's sort of the big picture how. But what was so attractive about the program to myself and to our teachers, and just the big picture, the 30,000-foot view, as Dr. Cavazos likes to say a lot, was that it is a research-based reading comprehension methodology that has a proven track record. And the research shows that it is effective, especially in schools with a high economically disadvantaged population. And most of our schools have a high eco-dis population. Secondly, teachers, they studied the implementation of it, and teachers who had implemented the FACET with fidelity did achieve 10 to 20 point gains in STAR test scores in all subject areas within 1 year. Within 1 year. So it's quick. Which I like. And the FACET method provides important logical connections for readers and has been proven effective in improving comprehension of text in all subject areas. Making those connections, being problem solvers, are something that in this day and age of media and things happening so fast and distractions happening every millisecond, making logical connections is something that I think our students struggle with a little bit. And so it was nice to have a program that sort of focused on that. But what is in the what, right? That's the big picture. Let's get down to some essentials here. They use higher order text structures, so it's not baby language, right? They're big words and they're complicated sentences, and they work through those sentences with the students. It is a very teacher-led but dynamic process. There are methods to activate and create background knowledge. And I forgot to I'm going to go back a couple of slides. That first bullet up there, where I said I would get to more on this in a minute with eco-dis population, I'm going to get to it right now. One of the disadvantages, probably the biggest disadvantage the economically disadvantaged student has, is exposure. Exposure and experience. And I see it all the time. And I try to think of an appropriate example as I was sitting there. And I liken it to, if you tell me that I need to go to, and I do frequently go to Austin, and if you say, well, you need to drive in at 5 o'clock, I immediately make the connection that I'm not going to get very far in Austin at 5 o'clock. Why? Well, I've been through Austin at 5 o'clock. There's traffic jam. It's terrible. I have that experience, that exposure to that, so I can make that connection. In fact, you could apply that to any major city. Chances are, most of our economically disadvantaged students in the valley will never see a traffic jam that size. So they can't make those logical connections. And the reason that's so important is because when you're talking about cause and effect or problem and solution and you're trying to make logical connections, a writer will oftentimes assume that the student has the background knowledge to fill the gap. And it really just is not the case. So this program allows those connections to be made and talk through that process. Vocabulary is taught in context. I hated doing lists in high school. Here's the word, here's the definition, memorize them and spew them out. If you use them in context, it gives it some ground, gives it a foundation. It cements it in their minds. We used to do funny sentences in high school, and my kiddos, I taught AP English. My kiddos never forgot their vocabulary words, especially the more funny ones. So there's that. It also utilizes previewing the text, which is a great skill to have. I think just glancing over a text before you read it to see what you might be able to sort of squeeze out of it before you begin helps to sort of wet the whistle. There's a selection of important ideas while reading. So you can see through the process how they take sections of the literature and they break it down into those sections. So you're really analyzing just a piece at a time, which is beneficial to students who struggle with reading comprehension. They have to write the main ideas. If you can process as a student, if you can take a piece of literature, read it, deconstruct it, and then reconstruct it in your own words, giving a main idea, you really do have a fundamental understanding of that piece of literature. So this process helps them to do that. It also uses text structure to generate inferences, so they learn to look for keywords, that if they see a because, they can bet that there's a comparison being made somewhere, so to look for that comparison. And active monitoring of comprehension, the teachers are an active part of the process. So they're working with each and every student through the whole thing. It's not, here, do this, and I'll grade it at the end. It is a very dynamic process. Bottom line for me, kids are active, they're engaged, and they're analytical in their reading. And so I'm going to elaborate a little bit about that. And I'm just going to use a personal example that I thought of. When I taught English at the high school, one of the favorite things that my students liked to do was to analyze music videos. I would download them and we would watch these music videos and we would talk about, they would have the lyrics in front of them, the intent of the musician who wrote it, and then did it translate to the director's vision of the song. And oftentimes it did not. It wasn't the same vision, but they could see how it was connected. And so when our students go to a piece of literature, we're looking for them to make those connections. So whatever, it doesn't really matter what they make a connection to, so long as they are making a connection that's personal, it's going to reinforce the learning. And so that was one thing I thought of when I was sitting in the training. I said, this is a great way for these kids to make connections and for teachers to help them do that. The why, though. Specifically, Treasure Hills, we do fairly well every year. We're at or above the state average in most of our subject areas and most of our grade levels. And so that, traditionally that's just, those are our results. We do pretty good. But we are not a Super Bowl team. I'm going to use a football analogy here. We're like that team that always makes the playoffs but never wins the Super Bowl. Right? The reason being is because we've got some really good players on the team. But we have not figured out how to coach up our skill players yet. Our skill players are our sub-pops. And so our lack of distinction designations, those 4 stars we don't have, all can be attributed to our subpopulation. Our trick in a school our size is to figure out how to address the needs of those subpopulations within the 900 students that we have. And in a nutshell, we're judged on 3 things: whether our students met standard, our school is having progress, or we're closing those gaps. And our problem area lies in the closing the gap, because that closing the gaps represents these subpopulations: race and ethnicity, special ed, mobile students, English language learners, and economically disadvantaged students. And those are our skill players that we have not figured out. They're doing exactly what's expected of them, but is that good enough? And to me, it's not, because we have a very value add mentality at Treasure Hills Elementary. We want to take people not to just where they're capable of going, but beyond. And so that's where we've really struggled as a campus, is taking those subpopulations, those small groups, and we're making progress, I think, but this program is going to help us do that, because, you know, we're judged on these subpopulations in this particular section of TEA's accountability system, and they have their own targets. They don't meet those targets. You know, we get a scale score, which then becomes part of our overall score. And right now, what we're seeing is most of our distinctions are negatively being negatively impacted by our struggling sub-pop. So hopefully, we need to figure out a way to break through the ceiling. This program is going to help us do that. Our specific challenge, as indicated by both our Realizing Our Dream report card and our state, district, and campus level data, is to not so much make our students successful. Like I said, our students overall are very successful, but we need to change that, and you can see about 94% meet the goals that they're expected to meet. And those are small graphic, I'm sorry about that. But we need to change our definition of success from performance to growth, and specifically in the groups targeted in closing the gap standard, because as you see, when it comes to growing our students, we're not there. We're not there. We're at about 42% of seeing the growth that we want to see. And so this program, because it can be applied to all subject areas. You think about written text, right? It exists in math and word problems. It exists in science as you go through a piece of literature and science. It exists obviously in ELA. You could even make a case that without a written word problem in math, there are logical connections to be made in the formula. So the ability for this program to sort of infuse all of those areas is one of the reasons that I'm so fond of it. And hopefully, you know, it will, you know, push us through that ceiling, make us a Super Bowl team. Bottom line, in simple terms, if you look at the growth status right there in this TEA report, all those no's right there, we need to change to yeses. Those all indicate areas where we didn't see enough growth. And so, you know, our L's, our eco-dis population, Hispanic, are continuously educated, and our mobile students. We've got some work to do. We've got some work to do, but we're up to the challenge, and we're excited that we have this new tool to do it. I want to, though, let my students and staff speak a little bit more about that. Oh, no, we don't. We want to do it this way. All right, Shane, what you showed me. The Texas A&M Reading Program is a method by which we can help our children become more analytical readers by deconstructing text.
It's a comprehensive reading program that's designed to help students analyze each paragraph that they read within passages, and it's used to analyze text structure to help them better improve comprehension.
What they do is they just really kind of take paragraph by paragraph. Examples of the text structures are problem, solution, and cause and effect. Those are probably the two major ones that they'll be using. And what they do is they take a paragraph from the passage and they'll identify the causes, and then they'll identify the effects of each paragraph. And it does help them with answering the questions.
This program has helped me by it helps me answer the questions, because I would always struggle in reading, but now I'm getting a lot better in reading because I know where the cause and effects are, how to identify them, and where the main idea is.
It helped me figure out how to analyze and put all the information basically in a little chart to help me if you have story questions. I like that the program could help you out with many different things, and it could make it much easier on you when you're answering the question, so it doesn't seem as stressful because you already answered most of the questions.
We keep stressing that comprehension is what we're looking for, and what we're striving for as we're reading. And so I really like that approach, that it, like I said, that it approaches it very holistically, that it's asking students to right off the bat say, what am I looking for? What am I needing to understand from this text? And it's very helpful in that way.
We're really in the beginning phases of utilization. We're determining what grade levels it's going to be most appropriate for and how to take it down to perhaps some lower levels with key words, key vocabulary, developing that, especially at the early literacy levels, pre-kinder, kinder first. We want to get those terms that they're going to be using when they hit third grade, that first tested grade level, really sort of cemented in their minds.
We talk about, again, think as you read. But I say if you can write the main idea of the selection or this paragraph in one sentence or one or two sentences, then you know that you are understanding it as a reader and you've accomplished the goal, the primary goal.
I would tell the students that they should learn about this program and that it helps you in reading a lot. It helps you understand the questions better, and it also helps you understand what you're reading. I think that other schools should put this in like to help their students learn all of this new information to just help them get better grades and just do better in school. I would like to say thank you for giving us this program.
There are many programs out there, but just knowing that this one has been research-based, for me, gives me confidence in being able to use it with my students.
No, I just think it's wonderful that the universities are reaching out to public schools, pre-K through 12. Here, I think they see the end game, and I think we're starting to see the end game. I think we need to have an eye on the prize, which is those kids being an active and successful part of community. We want to give them the skill set to be successful in this world, not just up to 12th grade. So at this time, I would like to recognize my assistant principals who are here and ask them to join me up here. Linda Molina oversees my ELL population, amongst other things, many other things. And Kim McCutcheon specializes in my SPED population, among many other things. And they are instrumental in anything that I do on that campus, especially when it comes to addressing our subpopulations. And they're here not only to be recognized, but also to field any questions that I can't. So that concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions that we can answer?
Mrs. Fleurier's lined up and ready to go.
No, my mind is just spinning.
Good luck.
No. I am first. I want very much to compliment you and thank you for choosing this as the topic for tonight, because we, as you all were, someone was referencing earlier that Dr. Cavazos likes to look at things from 30,000 feet. To a large extent, that's what we are tasked with doing. But the truth of the matter is that what we really need to know about are the specifics of what's going on in the classroom. And so I really appreciate this presentation very much. I'm also very excited about it. This is really where it is all at, to use improper grammar. Again, the specificity that with which you're attacking the whole reading process. Is quite remarkable, and I do believe it will work. So my questions are really just really kind of in two areas. Number one, I'm wondering how this plays into and or cooperates with what we're doing with NIHouse and the training. And number two, I'm wondering, because I'm excited about this, if every student on your campus is getting this instruction, and I believe you referenced that all of our elementaries are using it, so are all of our students getting this, and what grade levels are we talking about? And the third point I want to make, not a question, is I was just thinking how this would work for all levels of readers, those who are already quite successful, but also if you could work even with their dyslexic students. Of course, they have to have training in word attack, but once you get that, what you're going to do with all these words that are literally spinning in their heads and in front of their eyes, needs to have a lot of breaking down, and that's what this provides for. So I guess that's 3 areas that I'm interested in learning about.
Sure. Well, let me answer question 2 before I turn Ms. McCutcheon loose, because then y'all need to get comfortable in your chairs. But question 2 is, I think the rate of implementation is going to depend a lot on where the campus is at, the size of the campus, what tools they can bring to the table. So for us, we're focusing on the lower grades and getting the key vocabulary down, and we hope to start to use it here and there at the other grade levels to get the teachers and the students familiar with it, with a full implementation included in the lesson plans on a daily basis, or every other day or weekly basis. I don't know how we're going to upgrade that next year, but next year will definitely be the first full year of implementation. It was learning about it for the first half of this year, and now we're starting to sort of test the waters and how the kids take to it, and it's going to be a process to get 54 teachers trained to utilize it, because it is very systemic and systematic. So when those things are happening, then you need to have a lot of training.
Hence its value, right, Roland?
Sure, go right ahead.
So actually with NIHouse, Dr. K, who is a professor from Texas A&M, it's a grant. So all of this, believe it or not, is totally of no cost to us. So it was research-based. They came down here. She has actually met with NIHouse. She has met with the team from NIHouse. She was very interested in what we were doing, so they have already been in that communication of how that goes together. The other piece, before I let her speak and tell you a little bit more about on the campus, we do have 2 campuses that aren't participating. When she first came, it was a pilot program. My intent was not to get this many on board, but everybody wanted to jump in that first year. So I only have 2 that are not doing it, but we just had our best practice sessions last week, which is where we bring in schools that are doing well in the areas of math and reading. For reading, Dr. K actually flew down from A&M, did the 3 days of sessions after school with the teachers, and so we did 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and presented. And then when I met with her, they have just gotten another $7 million grant. So next year, we will be adding the writing piece to it. Right. This summer, she also wants to do an institute for reading, and so those teachers that need a little extra help, it'll be like a summer school, 3-day training. We're going to wrap in our middle school teachers, since now we have 5th graders going down the pipeline. And they will receive a certificate from A&M saying that they're a reading instructor that comes from College Station. So the teachers are very excited about that. So that's on the district level.
I think that's fabulous, Lori, fabulous.
Is this something that they like this summer and next year, will they come back to our district, or how is that?
They come to our district.
For 3 days?
For the 3 days. And actually the writing program, because there's a grant, they pay the teachers $400 to be part of the process. They get a stipend for it as well.
And we just noticed on the report, writing is an area that we struggle with, yes. Right. And actually, I hear that from college professors all around the state, that writing is where Texas is weak.
And it's the entire state.
The entire state, yes, the entire state, yeah.
And this is actually a writing program is what it is, but she backs up and starts a reading. So she implements a reading part first, because really what it is a writing program. And she gave them a snippet of that to the 4th grade teachers, and it looks like it's going to be wonderful. It's very intense. So we will start on that journey next year with her.
Fabulous.
Mr. De Leon, did you want to make a comment?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President, where am I at? I do have a couple of questions. First of all, I do appreciate you coming in and showing some of the needs that you're having at the district, instead of just showing all the highlights of the great things that are going on. You're literally saying these are some of our deficiencies and we're working at it. So I appreciate you you saying that. It's hard to do sometimes when you come to a board meeting. I have a couple of questions, and one, did you say that what this program here, all the other campuses at the district and the elementary level are utilizing it, or this is new that we only have 1 or 2 campuses that are doing it?
We have 2 that are, because it's actually a pilot program, we have 2 that are not participating. So the original
2 campuses?
Right. Originally, she wanted like 6 campuses, but then she agreed because I had everybody jump on board. She came and did a presentation. I didn't expect that many were going to want to do it, so I only had 2 that decided to wait, and so they will be getting on board this summer with us. They decided, no, we're going to go ahead and wait. I actually had 3 But then that third campus, once they heard about it and saw it, they jumped on board as well. So she was originally coming just to look for 6 campuses, 6 or 7 willing to do it, but the response was a lot more.
And let me ask you, so this program that you're implementing, and that's fantastic, and I'm gonna be the devil's advocate on this. It's fantastic that it's a $7 million grant or $2 million grant, and we don't have to cover this. My concern is that's great that the university provided a grant and they're bringing it over here for us to pilot something like this. But in order for us to pilot a program, that means we have to go to the teachers and we have to go to the campus and we have to tell them, whatever you have been teaching in the past, and correct me if I'm wrong on this and educate me on this, we need for you to stop on this because we're going to do a new strategy, a new initiative of how we're going to be setting this up. Is that something that we want to pilot maybe 1 campus or 2 campuses first to see if it's successful? And then if it is, and we're seeing that there's a jump and that all the teachers are actually in on this and they're understanding it?
So you'd be surprised, but it's actually a very simple method. When she first showed it, I thought it can't make a difference. She has data from campuses in Bronzeville, and so I always look at numbers before I jump into anything. Good. And the special ed children at those campuses, 100% were passing. So I thought, okay, this has something to it. We actually made a call to the school to just kind of confirm, and we got a lot of information. We did a lot of legwork before. And then when she presented it, and my strong suit is math, never been reading. But as I sat there and listened to her, I thought this makes total sense because all we're doing is making it much more simple. You're breaking down those text structures for students to understand and comprehend. And a lot of ways that we're teaching the main idea were very difficult. And that's why if you look at our hotspots, main idea, summarization, those are the 2 areas that we struggle with year after year after year. So if we keep doing the same thing, we're going to get the same results, right? So as we looked at her data, we thought, okay, let's try this and see. And just from the little bit, and I'm sure that they'll speak to it a little bit more, it's amazing what she does. And it's very simple. It's nothing that's difficult. You're building up your teachers, which the research shows, just like Nighthouse, it's not a program. It's you're building the capacity in your teachers. You're making them better teachers. We're building them up. And that's what this program does. It's with the teachers. They have coaches that come, meet with them during PLCs, model the lessons for them, and then we swivel teachers, give them feedback. So it's a lot of that coaching piece, and that's why it works.
So the curriculum that we normally use, that we've been using
Right.
for the past 4 or 5
That-
years,
that's the same.
that still stays the same.
Mhm.
This is just a supplement
That's
to
correct.
what they're utilizing.
It's a strategy.
It's a strategy.
It's a strategy.
Right.
So it's probably one of the attractive things about it. And I know it's hard to believe, but I'm a simple guy. And
We know.
that was a joke. But I would, I'm not one to oversaturate my teachers with things that they may or may not use. I saw the simplicity of it and said, wow, this is something they can learn fast, use quickly, and it will have a tremendous impact. And I look at it as paint on the palette. It's just another color on their palette, to be able to paint a more beautiful picture, give them a little variety in the way they instruct, use it as needed or how they want. And the neat thing about it is you can take the strategy, and if you see a science lesson the kids may struggle with in terms of comprehension, use the strategy on the science lesson. If you see a word problem in math that they're not quite understanding how the problem is being asked because they're not making the connections, use it there. And that was one of the exciting things to me about it. Was it's simple to use, it seems to be effective, it can be applied to multiple areas and at multiple levels. So
Students are very excited too. When they're reading something and they actually understand and can make connections. And as we're doing our walkthroughs and observations, and they're saying, wow, I like this graphic organizer because it's helping me understand what I'm reading. That's what, that's the ultimate.
Lori, how many of the teachers from each of the campuses participate, and how many are actually invited to participate?
So we started with our tested areas, our 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but I know some campuses have trickled it down to 2nd grade, like Mr. Ingram said, and started some of those strategies with them. But it was the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers that we started with. And they've actually, that's what's so nice about it. It's the same curriculum. We're using what we used before. We're just implementing a different way of teaching the text structure. They have studied this. She has a Dropbox where she has analyzed STAR, vocabulary, everything. Teachers have access to so much material. It's incredible. And she's, you know, it's just research. They've done all this research, and all that legwork that would take us forever to do, they've done for us. And so when you look at what she's done, the beauty of it is it's just a different way of teaching those text structures for students to understand and get those questions. And if you study our data and reading, it's those same areas that we always struggle with. So we thought, okay,
Main idea.
let's change the lens here and change the landscape and see what we can do, and see if we can help children understand and it not be so complex, because it shouldn't be that complex. So.
Mr. President, can I guess my question is a little different. Does this program or this pedagogy, does it take into account the different learning styles? I mean, I guess there's many, but if you just talk simplistically about three: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, when you look at those types of learners, how does it sort of deal with those different types of students? I guess some of it maybe through project-based learning, et cetera, but how does it kind of differentiate there and help? Because if some students would be, if it's just geared to the visual, then the others are left behind. Does that make any sense?
It does. The point of the strategy is to bring about answering questions for kids and building those connections. Because what we know is that we connect our knowledge to what we know in the past. And so what we have is a gap in that. Our kids on our campus, we really have the haves and the have-nots. So we have kids that have had all of these wealth of experiences and kids that have had none. And so our job in the classroom, where we bring in the visuals and we bring in all of those extra supports that you're talking about that kids need, we have to bring those in for the kids to be able to utilize them. This is just a strategy. It's like having another supplemental aid that a kid uses. It's teaching them a way to attack the reading. And so it's the same story that they've been reading from Treasures for the last 10 years. They're just asking them questions. It's strategic questioning throughout, and then filling out a graphic organizer that helps them understand the content and understand what they're looking for.
So essentially, it's a tool to increase basically experiences, connections, and synapses, if you will, and to do so not only individually but in a group setting and that kind of stuff. So, do these classrooms that are employing this tool, do they look different than other classrooms?
Well, Treasure, we do collaborate quite a bit. A lot of group work, a lot of shared experiences. So it fits sort of in our wheelhouse. Another reason I like it so much is it kind of goes with the way our children operate anyway. As Mr. McCutcheon stated, you have the haves, have-nots, have had experiences, have not. But when they start sharing, you'll find that these over here have had a lot of experiences these have not. And so they find common ground. So yes, they do look a lot different, because the talking points are such that conversations that wouldn't have happened before are happening now.
I mean, Dr. Cavasso says you resort to higher arrays. I've learned a lot from him. It's amazing. You can learn a lot from anybody.
We all have experiences. It's different type of experiences.
Different context.
I wanted to make sure I answered Gary's question. Her question was, how does this fit into what we've paid for, essentially? So we've paid for NIHouse. NIHouse is grades K-2. It's phonics. It's starting at the base level. We're going to teach them the letters, the sounds. We're going to teach them properly in the same manner. That was really, I think, the big push for the program. Because, when I would do a screener to see if a kid qualified for dyslexia, they would have like 10 letters wrong, but they're not wrong. It's that the teacher taught them how to say it their way and not the way, it wasn't a consistent way that it was being taught. And so NIHouse's design is to come in and teach them how to do their letters, their sounds, their blends, and get that basic sounding out of words. So that's where we have NIHouse. And now we're going to layer in our Scholastic running record so that we're actually teaching them how to read, tracking it consistently throughout the year, making sure that our kids are actually getting that fluency. Then we add this on top of it. This is the comprehension piece. So really it does pretty much start around second grade when they're actually reading, because this is a strategy that's designed for when I'm reading the text, how I think. It's about that schematic strategies, how we talk about our thinking, how we process, how we're making those connections. And it's really just kind of putting it to paper and putting it in a way that makes sense.
Mr.
So
Ingram,
that's how they go together.
and I just wanted to add, I like your comment where you said that you're thinking of your teachers and making that simplicity, because a lot of times we chase after the shiny dime, and administration and the board and everybody else is looking at the fantastic ideas and all the great shiny dimes that are out there. But at the end of the day, the one that's doing the work are the teachers. and the teachers come in and say, okay, now a new initiative, and the teachers, they're overwhelmed with what new initiatives, new strategies, new ideas, and maybe not enough professional development to help them to get the great programs, the great softwares, whatever it is, to really produce a fantastic result. So I'm glad when you're saying that you're thinking of the teachers on that, because we can have fantastic ideas, we can have some fantastic programs, we can have some fantastic initiatives, but at the end of the day, the individuals, and to your point of analogy of football, all the coaches and all the GMs and the owners they can be putting all the great strategies and how a game's going to be played, but at the end of the day, the players are going to be the ones in the field playing the game to see who's going to win or lose, and that's our teachers. So as long as we're making sure that we're not chasing the shiny dime all the time and making it a little harder on them, I think it's going to make it it's going to be better for everyone involved. So just please think of our teachers, because I know that they're overwhelmed with the big task of teaching our beautiful kids in the district. So just keep that in mind.
Well, in case in point, absent this excellent, amazing presentation and the context, and the video and everything else, if you just look at your slides, one may gather that we're just here teaching to the test. It's about the star. There's star slides and this and that, and we're focused on this and that. But in reality, what you're doing is we all know that readers are leaders, and effective reading is critical. But you're focused on the learning itself, and inspiring lifelong learners. And when you do that, and focus on the needs of your students and the focus of the needs of your teachers as you have, I think amazing things are going to happen. So I'm curious as to the results. But it's
It'll take time.
It's going to take time, but it's not it's not a stretch for anybody to come to the realization that you're going to have great results. So appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
So I do. Go ahead.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Oh, would you say a little bit more about how it's helping the special ed students?
That's me. The special ed students are struggling. That's the truth. We, at this point, are implementing it, and I can tell you from my experience today, the strategy's been introduced, and I walked into a room because the test administrator needed a break, and it was an individual administration, and the kid just goes, I can't remember what it means. He was so frustrated. And because,
we did a mock test today.
Yeah, and so the poor child, he couldn't remember the steps in the strategy. I mean, it's been like 3.5 weeks since they introduced it in the classroom. So he was very frustrated. So at this point, it's a process, and it's going to be different for every kid on what they can grasp and when they can grasp it. But the important part is going to be our special ed teachers learning how to modify it so that they can bring it down to a level that the kids can understand or can connect to. Because we're asking them, a lot of our kids in 4th and 5th grade are reading at 1st and 2nd grade levels, and we're asking them to read a 5th grade level text or a 4th grade level text and answer those comprehension questions. And even when we provide the skills, so for them, it's going to be a lot of continuing to layer in the visuals and all the other things that they need in order to connect to the text, because it's just too far above them.
I think the exciting thing about it, though, is they're coming back. And so this is very much a relationship that we have with Dr. K. And so the feedback that we give her hopefully will shed some light on how we can better help our special education students who might be struggling with this particular tool. So, hopefully next year we'll gain some headway in the special ed area.
Dr. Reiniger, I appreciate you asking that question. Last week, I reached out to Dr. Cavazos and the director of special ed, and we had a tour of the couple of special ed classes. Mr. Powers was there as well. It was very informative, exciting to see some of the great things that our special ed department is doing. One of the things that I hope maybe in the future that we can do, and I think we're in the beginning talks and works, is, we have a lot of, we're a school of choice. We have a fantastic early college high school. now with partnering with UTRGV, it's amazing. We're really excited. We have the health center, we have the fine arts, and so I would like to see us have a special ed academy just as well. I mean, the parents of special ed, they deserve it. They're entitled to it, and I think they should have something specialized just for them as well. And the questions I was asking, as usual, Dr. Cavazos is 5 steps ahead of us, and he already has a lot of great ideas on that. But I'm excited on where we're heading with special ed, and I'm hoping in the very near future we are going to have also an academy for special ed, and it'll be mainstream with a lot, but geared a lot of time, effort, and resources to take them to that next level. I know we're doing some fantastic things, but I'm really excited where hopefully we're going to be heading with special ed in the future. So, Dr. Reiniger, thank you for mentioning that.
So kind of bringing a little bit of summary to this great conversation, if you will recall the key performance indicators, we've moved away from just measuring kinder readiness, and we want to measure comprehension, 3rd grade readiness. And so this is what happens when you set a marker and say this is where we want to be, and we've got 5 years to get there. We begin to really deep dive into the data, deep dive into the strategies that we're using. And I think you summarized it also very well, Ms. McCutcheon, is that this is a layered system. And so at the early grades, you're learning the letters and the blends and so forth. But when it gets to comprehension, it's a whole different state. And if you're following the legislative session right now, Julio and I were having a conversation. They talk about funding full day pre-K, but the money's not going to flow through pre-K. It's going to flow through 3rd grade readiness. And so the whole idea is the kids need to be ready as they go into 3rd grade. And so kudos to all of you for looking at other ways to supply the teachers with the strategies they need to make a difference and move the envelope, because that's what we set. We set that marker, and that's what happens. It moves the entire system in that direction. So congratulations. Great job.
Great job.
Thank you very much, Larry. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item on is the approval of the consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion for approval?
Dr.
Second.
Munoz moved. We approve it, and
It was Javier.
I'm sorry, Javier.
It was Mr. Delio.
Oh, Mr. De, excuse me. Moved by Mr. De Leon, and I think seconded by Dr. Reiniger. Is there any comments on the consent calendar? If there are none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Approved unanimously. The next item on the agenda is matters relating to transformation and school support. Dr. Noyola, would you please give us the report?
Thank you, Mr. President, Dr. Cavazos, board members, senior team, and audience. Last Tuesday, February 5th, we had our Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee meeting. We had 2 topics that were presented to the committee. The first topic was titled ESL Certification for English Language Arts and Reading Teachers. During this presentation, myself and Jennifer Herrera, our Director for Talent Acquisition, had an opportunity to share with you regarding new legislation that had come forward at the state level that brought some certification requirements into light. And so this past August, the legislators met and noted that any teacher at the secondary level that is teaching English language learners must have an ESL endorsement. And so that right now, prior to this last August, not all of our English teachers had that endorsement. And so the talent, one of our design teams was tasked with identifying a process by which we would support our teachers in getting this ESL endorsement, because it needed to happen within this school year. And so the design team developed a plan of action that included a number of trainings for our teachers. We had 70 plus teachers that needed to go through this process of getting this certification. So our design team put together a plan, as I said, that included training, It included opportunities for them to have their first test administration paid for by the district. And so based on the results we're seeing a lot of success with our English teachers. More than half of our teachers have already passed this test, and we have a number that are scheduled to take it. So it looks like we will be in compliance with the expectations from the state. But one of the things that we did speak about was that our 5-year plan for our teachers is really about every teacher having an ESL endorsement, that it doesn't matter what classroom our students walk into. Our English language learners will have a teacher that has the skill set to be able to support them. And so our goal in 5 years is that all of our core area teachers will have this ESL endorsement. It will also impact how we go about hiring new teachers moving forward. And so we certainly will be looking for an ESL endorsement for our teachers. And if they don't have it, certainly supporting them in getting that endorsement. And so that was our first presentation. The second presentation, titled Increasing Accomplished Teachers, Raising the Bar. That presentation was conducted by Mrs. Veronica Corton, our Administrator for Organizational Development, as well as members from the Perfecting Your Practice design team. And so this design team also had their own task to address. And so their task was, how do we build or how do we increase the performance of our teachers to the accomplished level of assessment based on the state T-test program that assesses performance of teachers. And so what they did is, aside from the members of the committee, they did an outreach to all of our teachers of the year and went to our teachers and said, how do we get more teachers to that highest level of performance? Because every student deserves to have an accomplished teacher in their classroom. And so together with the voice of the teachers of the year, the committee came up with 3 outcomes that they really wanted to meet at the end of this whole process. So the first one was about that we needed to build a culture of accountability, that every teacher should be accountable for the success of students, and how do we create that type of climate? And so that's one of the outcomes that through the work that they are designing, they are looking to meet. The second outcome that they identified was regarding building teacher leaders. We have a lot of great people in our classrooms, some that don't necessarily want to go into administration or counseling, but they can still be leaders on their campus. And so part of that second outcome is, how do we build more effective leaders in our schools? And so they've started some of that work. They've done a number of trainings for people at the campuses, for example, team leaders, department heads, giving them the skill sets to be able to lead. And so some of that training has already happened. And then the third outcome that they identified was having an exemplar teacher program, where we truly identify who are those teachers that are already reaching those high level of performance, and how do we take hold of that knowledge that they have at the table and spread it across our district and make them teacher of teachers. And so part of what that program is starting to develop into is working with these teachers to identify those effective lessons that they are seeing success with in those classrooms, and how do we share those out with the rest of our teachers. And so those 3 outcomes have really guided the work of the Perfecting Your Practice design team. And so over the next year or so, you'll be hearing a little bit more in particular about that teacher exemplar program, because we really feel that that has a capacity to really impact teachers across our entire district. And so Dr. Nolan Pettis chairs our Transforming Teaching and Learning Design team. So Dr. Pettis, I'll turn it over to you if you have anything else you'd like to share.
Well, just again, Dr. Nolan, thank you again for these amazing presentations. I think that this district utilizes every opportunity to turn, every sort of challenge into an opportunity for, the betterment of our students and our teachers. And so this issue with sort of being in compliance with statutes, or in this case with TEA's sort of change and how they're looking into this issue with ESL. I like how you're sort of, taking it beyond compliance and to sort of how can this, make every teacher more effective in every classroom. So I love that, and thank you for that. And we look forward to see the how this sort of rolls out over the next couple of years. With regards to and also I have to say that. Also how it impacts as far as ESL in our even making our talent acquisition even better, because I know it's going to sort of spill over into the talent acquisition department as well. And even though we have one of the best talent acquisition departments in public schools in the state of Texas. It's just going to make it even better. So we're very, very excited about that. Speaking of talent acquisition, this raising the bar issue with accomplished teachers and making exemplar teachers and making more leaders. I was very excited because, as you think about that, it's going to be harder and harder as time goes on, for outside folks to get employed in this district. We'd always talk about hiring the best, and I think that we're very proud that we have a district that's always going to hire the best for every position. But the longer we go on with what we're doing in the transformation, and you look at an issue like this with regards to raising the bar and creating more accomplished teachers and exemplar teachers, it's going to be difficult for a lot of folks to get in this district if they're not. So we're really excited about this, and I'm really excited to see where this program goes. I love the fact that we're taking an intensive focus in this issue, and I can't wait to see what comes of it. We already have the most amazing teachers, but to see those numbers of accomplished and see where they are, and then the goals and that kind of stuff, I just can't wait to see what comes of it. So thank you for the great presentations, and as always, a great meeting. Thank you.
May I?
Please, of course, Ms. Fleury.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and listening very carefully to our erudite Dr. Pettis, who always has so much to contribute, and just reflecting upon what you just said, which was so exciting and so important. But again, getting back to the education that's going on in the classroom is what really it's all about. I just wanted to say that thank you to this district, because we already have one opportunity where the truly best of the very best are given an opportunity to shine in front of the Harlingen community, and that is at the Bob Irby concert. And so when we talk about the recruiting and having the very best in their field in this district, our music department has got to be recognized for already being years into having done that. And the Bob Irby concert is simply an opportunity for those teachers to show what they can do in a really fun way. And Dr. Pettis and I had the marvelous opportunity to enjoy that again this year. And for those of you who have not yet had a chance, I encourage you to jump at that opportunity next year, because it's what we talk about every board meeting. How do we develop excellence, and how do we recognize excellence? And boom, there it is right in front of us every year in terms of our music department. And it's right there for the entire community of Harlingen to witness. So we do have some excellence, and in the music department, we're recognizing it. So thank you.
Great point.
Yeah.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the request for approval of the Silence Education Service Contract for September 2019 through January 2020. Dr. Noyola?
Thank you, Mr. President, board members, Dr. Cavazos, senior team, and audience. This evening, we bring for your consideration and approval the Silence Education Service Contract for next school year. Over the last 3 years, we have partnered with Silence Education to assist us and train our staff and administration on working with the needs of our English language learners. We originally began the program at 2 of our middle schools at Gutierrez and Coakley. And so originally they trained the staff there. This year and next year, we will be working now with our 3 remaining middle schools. We've seen tremendous success with our students, a lot of positive feedback coming from our teachers. And it's really, a lot of times we don't do programs. It's really about giving our teachers that toolkit and give them more strategies that they can use. And so the Sideless Education program has really assisted in giving our teachers outlets on how to support our students. The greatest piece about this program, and it's really how we handle a lot of the training that we do in our district. We no longer do the one and done type of trainings where you train them one time and then we expect them to go back into the classroom. Sideless Education, the Texas A&M program that you heard about, and a number of other programs. The way that we have set up all our programs is we train our teachers, but there's continuous training that happens month after month. There are people that come in and work side by side. They do lesson presentations. They model how to do these. They work with our administrators as well to be able to go into classrooms and see where the needs are so that they can better support their teachers. And that's exactly what this Sideless Education program does for our staff. And you know, I think that this program, along with some other things, has really changed how we do professional development for our staff. So once again, I would, administration recommends approval of the Sideless Education Service contract for next school year, September 2019 through January 2020.
Mr. President, I recommend approval move approval of the Sideless Education Service contract for September 2019 through January 2020.
Second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Dr. Reiniger, seconded by Mr. Fleury. Is there any further discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The next is the approval of the 2019-2020 school district calendar. Dalia Garcia.
More data.
Somewhat. Good evening, Dr. Vastos, Board President, Board of Trustees, senior team and audience members. I'm presenting on behalf of Ms. Cortan. She has an evening class tonight. We are submitting for your approval 3 proposed instructional calendars that were voted on by campus personnel. The results of the voting process are shown in your voting summary document provided in your board packet. When the calendars were developed, there was voice and feedback from Teachers of the Year and the Teacher Advisory Committee. And a lot of that resounding feedback was to have a calendar that emulated this year's calendar, very similar to this year's calendar where the semester ends around Christmas time and of course ends right towards the end of May. All of the calendars have the following common features. Spring break is aligned with the Rio Grande Valley Livestock Show and is scheduled for the week of March 16th through March 20th, and Good Friday is a district holiday. Communication was also held with Ronnie Rios and Luis Olorio in terms of UIL and alignment towards the proposed calendar. Total in votes was approximately 1,135 votes, so there's a lot of feedback from a lot of campus teachers and administration across the district. A few of the highlights include under option 1, Labor Day is a district holiday. Employee start date is August 5th. Student start date is August 12th, very similar to this current calendar. Columbus Day is a student holiday and a professional development day. Thanksgiving is 5 days in length from November 25th through the 25th. Christmas holidays, December 19th through January 6th. Martin Luther King Day is a student holiday and a professional development day, and President's Day is a student holiday and teacher work day. So once again, the total votes you have in your board packet. Administration recommends approval of the proposed calendar with the most votes as presented.
Any votes for Cinco de Mayo? This is 6 of September. I'm just wondering.
Dalia, I have a couple of one comment. The comment is I think you're doing y'all are doing a fantastic job with the involvement of the teachers, faculty, and staff, because that really means a lot, and that has a lot of weight because they're the ones that are affected. I did have one question. Is option 1, is that the one that was approved last year? Is that the one that they chose last year, or is it different?
It is very similar. Very similar. Mm-hmm.
With what is the only difference between last year's and option 1?
It is pretty much the same besides the dates of it starting August 5th versus the Monday of last year during that same month, though. Everything is pretty much emulated from last year to this option 1 calendar.
And I guess what that does is it shows that they were happy with what they had last year, and they're just solidifying their vote again for this upcoming year.
Correct, right, from the Teachers of the Year, again, getting feedback from their constituents at the campus, and then the Teacher Advisory Committee as well.
Dr. Mooney said there was some collusion in some of this thing, but I don't agree with him on that one.
I don't agree with that.
But they all voted. I mean, this is actual votes
All
of the
campus-based
individuals,
votes.
teachers, really all campuses voted.
Correct, campus teachers, yes, all campus. And we do have a little over 1,200 teachers across the district, and we did have a great amount of votes
66% 's pretty
submitted.
strong.
Dalia, not that it matters, but I'm just curious, how many votes did option 1 get of the 1,200? You said 1,200 voters? Is it in
No,
there?
13.
1135 votes,
1135.
option 1,
That's
755.
That's a big difference.
What was the start date this year?
August 5th.
So it's 6 days, so it's the follow, it's 1 week later, basically? In terms of, I'm talking for the
When the
students, I'm talking for
students-
students.
Okay,
Oh, 12.
yeah, in terms of the student, it was August 13th,
So
I
it's the
believe.
same.
It's
Yeah, it's the same.
One day.
So this year, it's August 12th,
Okay, now the
or
whole-
proposed in,
The whole
under option
concept
1.
of finishing the semester and
Yep.
all that's fine, and no changes there.
And
Yes,
that was
sir.
a big push to
Yeah.
finish the semester before Christmas again this year. So.
Correct.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for approval of the adoption of the 2019-2020 school district calendar as recommended by administration.
Second motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. De Leon, seconded by Dr. Pettis, and that is, staff is recommending option 1, correct?
Correct.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Option 1 is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Garcia. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of order of election and notice of trustees election. Mr. Cavazos.
Thank you, Mr. Powers, Dr. Cavazos, board members. Agenda item 9A is approval of the election order and the notice of trustee elections. We have places 3 and 7 that are up for election on May the 4th, 2019. It'll be Mr. Greg Powers and Mr. Lilo Jaimes. Early voting starts April the 22nd and ends April the 30th. It will be from 8 to 5 p.m. We do have extended hours on April the 25th and April the 30th. That's from 8 in the morning to 8 p.m. Early voting will be done at City Hall as we have done in the past, and we recommend approval. Any questions?
Do I have a motion?
I move approval of the order of election and notice of trustee election as presented.
Second the motion.
Moved by Dr. Reiniger and seconded by Dr. Muniz. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The next item is consider an approval of appointment of early voting clerk. Mr. Cavazos.
I think you skipped 9B.
Oh, I'm sorry. Consider approval of interlocutory agreement for joint election between the City of Harlingen and the Harlingen Consolidated Independent School District. Julio Cavazos.
Thank you, Mr. Powers, Dr. Cavazos, board members. Agenda item 9B is the approval of joint election with the City of Harlingen. We are required to have a joint election with a municipality within our school boundaries. We will share the cost for the election. We have done this in the past with the City of Harlingen and the City of Primera. City of Harlingen is having an election, and we are recommending to have a joint election with them this year.
Do I have a motion?
Motion for approval of the interlocal agreement for joint election between the City of Harlingen and Harlingen CISD as presented.
Second the motion.
All right. Moved by Dr. Pettis, seconded by Mrs. Fleurier. Is there any further discussion?
Just a quick question, Mr. President. So, does this, obviously I know it's a requirement, but does this, how much does this save? Like, for example, if the City of Harlingen was not having, I mean, we know they're gonna have election, but pretending, let's just say they weren't, hypothetically speaking, do you have any idea what kind of savings that kind of?
Sure, estimated, let's say we're doing it ourselves, we'll probably spend an additional $20,000. So having a joint election, saves about $20,000 for the district. We spend overall about $30,000 for the election. If we were to do it ourselves, it would probably be about 50.
About 50, okay, so 30,000 is kind of what we're in, but then it'll be about 50, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Unless there's two in the same year.
Can you repeat that? No.
Okay, we have a
Thank you
motion
for
on the
the-
table.
thank you for the clarity.
All right, any further discussion? I'm sorry?
We already voted.
Oh, we did?
No, we didn't. We're in discussion. We had a motion and a second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Number C, consider approval and appointment of early voting clerk, Julio Cavazos.
Thank you, Mr. Powers, Dr. Cavazos, board members. Agenda item 9C is the appointment of the early voting clerk. The board is required to appoint an early voting clerk. We are recommending Marta Barrientos. She is my secretary, to be the early voting clerk. She has been the clerk in previous years, and so she's very knowledgeable with election law. We recommend approval.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for the approval as presented.
Okay. All right, moved by Dr. Muniz, seconded by Mr. De Leon. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Approval of final construction payment to Victoria Air Conditioning for HVAC improvements at Harlingen High School South. Mr. Tapia.
Board President Powers, members of the board, Dr. Cavazos and colleagues. We're bringing forth the final payment to Victoria Air Conditioning for the Harlingen High School South air conditioning project we did a few months ago. And we have finalized all final punch list items. We've gotten all the required closeout documents. Our engineers signed off. And so we recommend approval of the final payment of $21,426.66 to close out this project. And it was discussed and presented at the last week's facilities committee meeting. So we recommend approval.
Okay.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for approval of the final construction payment to Victoria Air Conditioning in the amount of $21,426.66 for the HVAC improvements at Harlingen High School South.
Did you get the cents?
Yeah.
Okay.
66 cents?
Second.
Yes, sir.
Moved by Dr. Muniz and seconded by Dr. Reiniger. Any further discussion?
What was that, American dollars?
Pesos. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Mr. Tapia, the facilities report, please.
Yes, Board President Powers, members of the board, Dr. Cavazos and colleagues. We had a facilities committee meeting last Tuesday, February 5th. Gave an update on the TRE program projects. We spent quite a bit of time on the Treasure Hills Elementary New Classroom Wing Addition, the progress they're making there. The project architect, Mike Alex, was there to answer questions as well. Overall, we're about 35 to 40% complete. And we're also simultaneously working on phase 2 and getting ready to bid that out in a few months as well. We gave an update on security fencing at the 2 high schools in Atcano and the progress we've made there. Also introduced some new re-roofing projects we're going to be doing with Megamorphosis Architects. A section of Lamar, Milan, and an entry canopy to district operations will be bid out. Budget of $600,000. We're targeting the April board meeting for award. So we'll give you an update at the next meeting where we are in that. Another new project we have close to bidding out is the civil improvements at Kano Academy. We're doing a driveway out to make the traffic accessibility work better there at that school. Harlingen High School sidewalk, STEM Academy sidewalk, and a Boca Stadium sewer line relocation that we're doing there. And we'll be bidding that one out here soon and targeting the March board meeting for award. We also gave an update on relighting at Harlingen South, the 2 main corridors. We're replacing the light fixtures with LED to improve the lighting, save energy, and increase the foot candle output to liven up those entries, which were kind of dark and dim. So we've already seen the improvements. And with the new drop ceiling being a white versus the old beige, has also really helped illuminate those main corridors. Gave an update on the elementary school library upgrades. The maintenance department continues to do some painting in-house. They finished Jefferson and Lamar. Their next targeting Wilson and Milam, and hopefully we'll show some good pictures at the next meeting on how those turn out. Then gave a presentation on the final payment to Victoria Air that we just approved. And then we went into construction funds and other financial reports. Julio Cavazos gave an update on the TRE fund expenditures. I'll turn it over to Mr. Powers for any questions we may have for the group.
I just want to comment on the fencing is almost finished. If you've driven around, I want to congratulate you guys on a great job. It looks very professional, very nice. and aesthetic for the campuses. It looks terrific. The other thing is the drop tile in the main corridors at South is going to really be an improvement. I mean, what you showed us at the committee meeting and the effect on lighting and the appearance of the hallways is going to be a major difference. So great job. Treasure Hills is coming along well. We've had a really rainy season, and I think the contractor's doing a really good job of catching up to the best he can. And our deadlines have been extended some, but I don't think there's anything we could have done about it. So everything looks great.
And Mr. President, can I just ask for further clarity on that? I mean, I understand weather in this issue, but how far are we behind on the Treasure Hills? I'm just a little worried about.
We're off about 2 months from the original. Instead of late July, we're now into late September, early October.
Obviously, you guys are planning for this and this, that, the other. It's not going to be.
It's going to be along the lines of what we did at the medical hospital.
It's going to target the transition during the Christmas break. It works out.
Okay.
All right. Okay, the next, let's see, I think we move into executive session next, and we have a special guest with us tonight. So the next thing is we're going to adjourn into closure executive session for pursuant to the Texas Government Code sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.082 of the Open Meetings Act for the following purpose. A, discussion regarding bids received from July 3rd, 2018 and November 6, 2016 tax resale and property struck off to Cameron County for itself and other taxing jurisdictions. Number 2, discuss employment of Director of Purchasing. And number 3, discuss employment of teachers and other professional staff. We are adjourned into closed or executive session. Item is to consideration and possible action on bids received at the July 3rd, 2018 and November 6, 2018 tax resale of property struck off to Cameron County for itself and other taxing jurisdictions.
Mr. President, move approval to accept the bids received at the July 3rd, 2018 and November 6, 2018 tax resale on property struck off to Cameron County for itself and other taxing jurisdictions as presented in executive session.
Second. Okay, moved by Dr. Pettis, seconded by Mr. De Leon. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The next is consider employment of Director of Purchasing.
I move that we extend employment to the Director of Purchasing as recommended by administration.
Second the motion.
Okay, moved by Dr. Reiniger, seconded by Dr. Muniz. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Final item is consider employment of teachers and other professional staff.
Mr. President, I make a motion to consider the employment of teachers and other professional staff as recommended by administration.
Second the motion.
All right. Motion was by Mr. Hymas, seconded by Dr. Muniz. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned.